So we'll switch my camera around. There we go. Okay, perfect. Oh, this is a little crooked. Sorry, that's the perfectionist in me. Okay, so let's find that comfy way to sit. And if you're really lucky, you too will be joined by a little furball who really just wants to lick your feet. So let's take one hand and just do a little hand massage. So put that thumb at the base of the opposite thumb and just work your way across the palm. Hi, you're really helpful. Thank you. So helpful. Thank you. That's enough. And we'll work our way back. He's been extra licky the last 2 days, and he was really quite happy last night when I was stuck in a position where I couldn't move so he could lick my feet. So gross. All right, let's do our fingers. So work your way down the sides and the front and back of your fingers. Just a gentle pull, massaging around the joints. No. There we go. And then let's go on to the other hand. Oh, that hand feels so nice. Working our way across from the heel of the thumb to the center, to the edge of the pinky side of the hand, and back. No. And then we'll work our way down each finger. So a little love through the joints, front, back, side to side. There we go. And so we'll give our wrists a little warm up too once we've made our way down all of the fingers. And so maybe I'd just like to do a little popcorn. So just like spread your fingers out and make little fists. That's kind of nice. And then let's interlace the hands, and then we'll just do circles. So just making like, well, actually it's more of like an infinity than a circle, isn't it? All right, so just rolling through the wrists basically. And we can take it down and have fun with it and make your way up. And then see if you can change directions. This one always messes me up. Little brain activation first thing in the morning. There we go. Okay, let's give those hands a little shake out. Hopefully they're feeling a little warm, a little better. Let's go down to the feet. So just grab a foot, any foot, and we'll do the same thing. So working from the inner edge of the heel with both thumbs along the arch all the way up to the base of the big toe. And if you need a little support, sometimes it's nice. You can also kind of contort yourself to like do something zigzaggy sitting, or maybe even a half lotus. I'll just give the arches of the feet a nice little massage. So this is always a really nice thing to do. Let's work on the toes. So front and back and side to side. There we go. Good morning. We're just starting with a little massage with the feet. So you can jump right in. So my friend that is a reflexologist says that if you massage the tops of your toes, that's associated actually with the brain and the top of the brain. It can help you with sleep. So I've been doing that a fair bit. So there's also a really cool acupuncture point, and it's called bubbling spring. And so if you kind of squish your toes, that little indentation, I will show you my feet really up close. So my teacher, Jennifer Race, she actually puts sticker dots. But so it's like right here. And it's also a really great point for not only, so it's kind of contradictory because it can be very energizing, but it's also a great point to give a little massage to help with insomnia and your sleep. So I'll just give a little massage in that point. All right, let's make our way over to the other foot. Okay, Ernie, you can't help me, stop it. So, and this is why I wanted to leave you upstairs. No, stop it. So I'll give that foot a little massage. Oh my goodness, thank you, Ernie. You are so helpful. My toes feel extra clean now. And we'll work our way on each toe. My kids used to watch this terrible show on one of the Disney channels, I think. And I just will never forget. There's one episode. It was a talking dog, the dog with a blog. That's what it was called. And the girl that owned the dog put peanut butter between her toes and then let the dog lick between her toes. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, that's nice, huh? All right, let's find that bubbling spring point. So if you scrunch your foot up, that little divot between the big toe and the next toe, and just get a little massage in there. Don't push too hard. It can be a little tender spot too. Just a little massage can be nice. All right. Let's go ahead and bring our feet down and find a comfortable way to sit again. And I'm just going to try to get rid of all of my extremities so I'm not licked anymore. And we'll do a little warm up for the shoulders. So let's take the fingertips to the tops of the shoulders like epaulets, and then we'll just do some backward circles. So just notice as you do this, if the ribs really flare open, and to see if you can draw the bottom ribs together. So a little engagement through the core to protect the lower back. Okay, let's do a little back crawl. So alternating. And we get a little movement through the rib cage, a little twisty sort of action. And then we'll do the front crawl. And if at any time this just feels like it's too taxing for your shoulders, you're always welcome to bring your hands down. Good. All right, let's just do one or two big circles going back again. Sort of opening up through the front part of the shoulder blades. Okay. So I'd love to start off with a little Kali mudra. So find yourself in a still place. And so Kali is, well, we've been talking about her for quite some time. So she is that goddess of destruction, but also the one that allows you to be confident. So we interlace all of the fingers, and then the right thumb ends up resting on top of the left, and then we put the pointer fingers out. So it's some teachers actually call it Charlie's Angels mudra. So a lot of pop culture references this morning. Okay, so this is symbolic of Kali's blade. So the blade that she carries a blade in one hand and she carries a human head in the other, but it's symbolic of slicing ourselves away from our egos. So it's a really good mudra when there's things that we need to let go of. And the pointer fingers point upwards towards the throat. So this is to help activate the throat chakra. So often, said to be a point of opening up communication, but it's also a point of purification. So when you think about purifying raw gold, there's always a few little impurities in it. And so we heat it up and burn off all of the impurities, and then we're left with this pure gold. And that's just like us, our pure hearts. They're right there. So if you like, you can close your eyes, or you can keep them open and maybe just look down. Just hold your elbows loosely by your sides. Feel your shoulders drawing down and back away from the ears. And just take a few breaths here and just notice what you notice. So this mudra is said to be activating of the Apana vayu. So that's the upwardmost wind. So kind of originating from the chest and then swirling around the head. So again, a way of clearing out the clutter, allowing you to find some clarity. And it's also an activating mudra. So on an energy scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 9. So it's a nice one to do first thing in the morning if you're feeling kind of sluggish. It's also said to help us identify the things that we need to let go of. So that's been a recurring theme around here as I'm preparing to let go of teaching and do something new, and change is hard. And I do have a lot of attachment. I have attachment to you folks. I have attachment to teaching, and you probably have some attachments to things in your life as well. And sometimes these attachments aren't bad. It's just time to let them go. So take another few breaths here and just see if there's anything that might come up for you, something that maybe you want to let go of. And it could be a physical thing. can be an emotional thing. Maybe you're hanging on to some residual anger or resentment, or maybe you're feeling a bit anxious about something, and maybe you can let yourself let go of these feelings. And so Kali allows us to identify what no longer serves. It also gives us that inner strength to not only identify it, but to follow through with that letting go. So if there's something that maybe came up for you, then maybe you can identify it and work your way through it, through the practice, through the day of letting go. Let's take another 3 breaths here. With that next exhaling breath, just flutter your eyes open, let your hands come down. Let's make our way into a tabletop. Now, if your wrists are feeling a bit tender this morning, maybe instead of having palms down with the fingers spread, you make a fist with the thumbs facing forward. And if your knees are feeling a bit tender, then maybe fold in the edges of your mat or grab your blanket and place them underneath your knees. So we'll start out with this tabletop position. Just taking a few rounds of our cat and cow. So inhaling breath, chest falls forward, belly down, exhaling, rounding, finding some space. So in the yogic philosophy, we have these 8 limbs of how to be a yogi. And the first limb contains these rules for life. There are yamas and niyamas. And the very first one that's listed is ahimsa. And that means being kind, so not being mean. And that's also to ourselves, not just to others. And then along the way, there's 10 altogether, but there's also one called aparigraha, and it means non-grasping. So it's encouraging us to let go of those things that we no longer need. Let's take one more round. All meeting up in that plain tabletop. And we'll go ahead and reach the left leg towards the back of the mat. And you can tuck the toes under and just press back through the heel. So if the wrists are still kind of feeling tender and they need a bit of a break, you can come down to forearms, and that still works really well. And so as we reach out through the crown of the head, you want to lift the navel up towards the spine, lift the inseam of the left thigh up towards the wall, and just feel that nice long stretch through the calf. Now, if you feel like adding a little bit of core work into it, then you can really press down through the fingertips, through the hands, and then maybe lift the right knee in towards the belly. But this is optional. You don't have to do that. And maybe you hold it for 3 breaths, maybe you don't. Good. On the bottom of that third breath, drop the right knee down. If it was lifted, drop the left knee down. Sit back, and if you need, just give your wrists a little roll out, a little love. Just approaching our practice with some tender, loving care. And we'll make our way into that tabletop position again, and we'll do the right leg this time, reaching back. So pressing through the heel, reaching through the crown of the head. Notice if the shoulders are kind of falling up towards the ears, and if you can press them down away from the ears. So lengthening the neck forward, lifting the belly up, lifting the inseam of the right thigh towards the ceiling as you press through the right heel. And just like before, if you really feel enticed to add in a little core, you can strongly press down through the fingertips and the back foot, and maybe curl that left knee in, and maybe hold it for 3 breaths or so. And then release the knee and release the other knee. Let's take a wide-kneed child. So bringing the big toes to touch, and just walk the knees a little wide as your mat, hips back. And then crawl your way forward. So if this doesn't feel good for your knees, you're welcome to just roll over onto your back, and you can kind of hug in that way, so still making that curved shape with the spine. Or you can crawl your way forward and rest on your belly in that crocodile pose. So wherever you are, just finding some support for under your head. You might have no difficulty reaching the forehead to the mat. And things might be feeling a bit stiff, and maybe you'd like to stack fists or slide a block under the forehead today. Let's just take another 3 breaths here, really breathing into the lower belly, lower back. And just noticing with every exhale, if there's any tension in the shoulders, we can just let that start to dissolve. So feeling the armpits just gradually drop down towards the floor. All right. We're going to find a little side bend in our child's pose. So coming up onto the knees, you might like to just bring the knees in maybe a couple inches towards each other. And we'll walk the hands over towards the left side of the mat and then ease the hips back down. So just getting into the right side body here. So a couple of variations, should you feel inspired to try them, would be to just keep the right hand palm down, or do that little karate chop so the thumb faces up and the outer blade of the right hand presses down. And then maybe you've got like some other funky variation that feels really good for you. Maybe you need to find a little support, so maybe that left elbow bends and you rest your forehead on the left hand. We'll take another couple breaths here. It's just every breath in, finding a little distance between the hip and the underside of the arm. And every breath out, a little softness. And let's come on back through center on a breath in. And go ahead and we'll walk the hands over to the right side of the mat. And ease the hips back and down. And again, if this child's pose, bent knee doesn't work for you, you can do this on your back or on your front. Really just trying to find a way to get into the side body, and also a nice stretch for the underside of the arms. So maybe finding a karate chop variation, palm down variation, maybe bending the right elbow and letting the forehead rest on the hand. What can you do to modify this pose to make it just feel really good? And so if you're resting your forehead on something, that's the third eye chakra, so that space between the brows. So that is connecting us with that inner knowing. It's also in the traditional Chinese medicine, the yin tang point. So it's said to be a place where when it's stimulated, we can find a bit of clarity. Let's come on back through center. Okay, we're going to take a pose called puppy pose, or anahatasana. So anahata is heart chakra. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start out in that tabletop position. And I'm going to move my puppy away with my foot because I don't have enough space. And we're going to crawl the arms forward. So it's kind of like a downward dog, but from your knees. And then depending on how your shoulders, wrists, hands, hips, etc., spine are feeling, you can start to drop the chest towards the floor. So we're going to try our best to keep the hips over the knees as we lower the chest towards the floor. So it's a really deep upper back bend. Now you might find that the forearms stay lifted. You might find it more comfortable to let the forearms drop towards the floor. And we'll just take another few breaths here, seeing if we can draw the shoulders away from the ears as we drop the chest towards the floor, maybe feeling some sensation between the shoulder blades, maybe through the collarbones. Good. And from this position, we're going to crawl our way forward all the way onto the belly. So shift the hips, coming into our Sphinx pose. So walk the legs back. Now, if your shoulders are over the elbows and it just feels like too much for your shoulders, then walk the hands a little forward. We're aiming to get the forearms in that number 11 shape if we can. And then position your legs so that it's taking any strain out of the lower back. So you might want to take the feet as wide as your mat. It might be helpful to press into the tops of the feet. So activating the legs, so you feel the knees kind of lifting off the floor and the thighs engage. And then you feel the abdomen pull up towards the spine. Now with that, you might get this tendency to sort of round again. Let's see if we can pull the shoulders back and shine the chest forward to that opposite wall. That might be really tempting to look up all the way to the ceiling, but that can put a little bit of too much pressure on the cervical spine, on your neck. So it might be better for you to just look down the tip of the nose, stare at the wall in front of you, or that point where the floor and the wall meet. Good. Let's come on down on an exhale, finding that crocodile pose, just taking a little rest here. So elbows out to the side, stacking hands or stacking fists, letting the forehead rest on stacked hands or fists, maybe a little rock side to side. Good. Maybe if you really need a little lower back release, kick the heels up and let them sashay side to side. So allowing yourself to find whatever movement feels really good for your body. All right, and then we find stillness and just take 3 full breaths here. So just like we did with that child's pose, just filling up the belly, filling up the lower back on that breath in, and allowing everything to soften on the breath out. So just think about the shoulders dropping away from the ears, letting go of any tension, tightness, or holding, soften through the glutes, the backs of the thighs, maybe even softening through the jaw. Good. And now with that next inhale, let's go ahead and lift the head up. We're going to make our way into a pose called dolphin. So we're going to just bring those elbows back in towards our Sphinx position, and then bend the knees, activate through the core. So engage through the glutes, navel lifts up and back, and we come to the knees. So this one is like doing downward dog, but now on your forearms. So tuck the toes under once the knees are under the hips, and then exhale to lift up and back. So this was the purpose of doing that calf stretch with our tabletop, just to get the backs of the legs warmed up, because it is definitely more intense than a downward dog because we've shortened things in the front. So get that same sense that you did in the Anahatasana, so that puppy pose, getting the shoulders drawing away from the ears and the chest dropping towards the floor. Good. One more full breath in here. And let's go ahead and drop the knees down, and then we'll make our way into that full downward dog shape. So hands are in the just right place. And then the next breath in, lift the hips up, exhale back. And here we are in downward dog. So let's try something a little bit new to get into the side body with the downward dog. So we can walk the toes in a little bit more towards center. The toes don't have to touch, but we just want them in a little center. And we're going to take a big breath in and lift the hips and heels. And on the exhale, we're going to let the heels drop over towards the right, bend the knees, and then we stretch into the left side body. So sneak a peek if you need to look up at the screen to see what I'm doing here. And then we'll come back up on that inhale, pivoting through the toes, through center, and exhale, drop the heels to the left. And we'll do that 2 more times on each side on your breath. And if this doesn't feel like it's working for you today, you can just find your way into a pose that does feel good. Like maybe it's just a plain straight up downward dog. Maybe it's even child's pose. You get to choose what feels good in your body today. There we go, coming all the way back to our downward dog. Let's walk the feet a little wider apart, maybe a little closer to the hands, just by an inch or so. Put a deep bend in the knees, and as you exhale, draw the chest back towards the thighs and look between the hands, and then take your time. Walk the feet to the front of the mat, giving that nice deep bend in the knee. And we'll lift up partway on an inhale, lengthening through the spine. Exhale, fold it forward. Let's come all the way up, spread the arms, big full breath in. And let's take our Kali Mudra here. So with the arms overhead, if it feels like too much for shoulders, then just bring the hands back in line with the chest. So our Kali Mudra, interlacing the last fingers, pointer finger reaches up, right thumb crosses over the left. So again, you can hold it here or you can hold it up. Really feel your feet. We did all that lovely massage for the feet, so they should feel really supportive and grounded. Let's take a big full breath in and press down through the right foot. And as you exhale, lean over towards the left. So side body stretching here. So in the Ayurveda tradition, that's that sister science to yoga, breathe in, come on up. Take another little breath in, press down through the left foot, reach up, and exhale over to the right. So they believe that we hold onto anger through the side body. So if you happen to be feeling a little angry at somebody or you've got some underlying resentment, you need to get into the side body. Good. Let's come on up on that inhaling breath and then exhale. Just bring the hands down. Good. Give the wrists a little shake out. Maybe the legs would like a little shake out. Maybe you too need to adjust the band of your yoga pants. All right, we're going to find our way into this ring the gong. So we might like to have just a wee bit of a wider stance and make sure that we have enough space around us so that we don't smash our hands into someone or something. Okay, loose fists. Feel your feet pressing down. And then we're going to start swinging the arms. Good. So keep a little softness in the knees here. And maybe one heel lifts as you sway side to side. And you can make these arm swings as big as you like or as gentle as you like. You might notice that the hands start to tap on the body. So the back part of the body where the kidneys are in the lower back, you may tap on the front of the hip. So all of these are stimulation points in the traditional Chinese medicine system of meridians. And you might even get a little momentum so that maybe the hands start to come up and tap the front of the shoulders and maybe behind the lungs. Good. Oh, maybe these little taps just feel really good. All right. Now let's start to take it down. So on your own time, in your own way, just slowing down that spinning. And you might notice that your feet are a little wider apart than when you first started. So maybe just bring them back to that place where it gives you that sense of stability and balance. Press down through the feet, a little bend in the knees. As you press down through the feet, just straighten and lift up, roll the shoulders up, down, and back. And you might like the palms to face forward. So here we are in mountain pose, Tadasana. Ta-da! Sana. All right, let's find our way into a bit of a sun salutation flow. We're just going to do the sun breath today. So with the inhaling breath, we sweep the arms out, up, and over. And as we exhale, we fold it forward, bend the knees. Halfway lift on the inhale, hands to the shins, knees or thighs. And exhale, fold it in again. Reach all the way up, big full breath in. Maybe we find that Kali Mudra as we exhale the hands down. Good. 2 more times. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead. And exhale to fold. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold again. All the way back to stand. Big wide reach, big breath in. Maybe the hands interlace into Kali Mudra as we exhale down. 1 more time. Breathe in. Reach out. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold again. Reach and rise up. Big wide stretch. Palms connect. Kali Mudra or Anjali Mudra. Just pause for a moment in our mountain pose, either taking that Kali Mudra or Anjali, that's the palms together in that prayer position. Just gather a little internal strength, trust, and clarity. We're going to find our way into warrior 1, but finding a bit of balance to get there. So pressing the palms together in whichever mudra you like, roll the shoulders down and back, feel the core engage, shift the weight into the right foot, peel the left heel away, and step your way back to find this warrior 1. So left heel drops down, right knee is bent. It feels good to release the hands overhead and take a breath in, straightening through that front leg. And then maybe exhale, bend into the knee. If you need to do a little test drive or 2, go ahead and find that. So the more that the right foot is over towards the right, the wider your stable triangle or triangular base is. There we go. Word salad. Keep pressing into the outer edge of that left foot. Maybe nudge the left shoulder slightly forward. So we're trying to get the shoulders to square towards the wall in front of us. And then we'll find a little twist from here. So really feel that sense of being very grounded through the feet. And then as we breathe in, we reach up, sorry. And as we exhale, we're gonna swoop the right arm behind and the left arm's gonna go forward. So we're just finding this open twist. And it doesn't matter how big or deep this twist is, how does it feel in your body right now? So we're just letting go of how things look and finding our way into sensing how they feel. All right, with that next inhaling breath, let's swoop the arms back up and over. And this time we're gonna go to warrior two. So pivot through that back foot, reach the left arm back, right arm forward, and you might need to readjust the feet. So I find it's a little easier to have a longer stance. So I wiggle that back foot a bit. And then we can do the same thing. So pulsing a couple of times just to make sure that the angles of the feet feel good when we bend the knees. And then we settle in to find that warrior two, feeling that strength, so almost as if somebody's pulling that left arm behind. So the tendency that we have is to kind of lean forward. See if you can draw yourself back. Get the shoulders drawing down away from the ears. And we're looking out over the right middle finger. Then we're really gonna keep everything below the waist exactly where it is as we find a reverse warrior two. Right palm flips up. Big breath in. And exhale into that twist. Options here. Left hand might just like to graze the back thigh. You might like to take that half bind, bending the elbow, spinning the hand around. If that top arm feels like it needs a break, maybe cup the base of the skull with that hand, or just let it drop between the shoulder blades. What would feel good for you? So the side body stretch, strengthening through the legs. On our next exhaling breath, we're going to unwind ourselves back to our warrior two. Take a big breath in here, and then we go to side angle, right forearm down to right thigh. Swoop that left arm forward, and then stop there where the fingers are pointing towards that point where the ceiling and the wall meet. Now, the tendency here is that we kind of tend to roll and close over towards the floor. See if we can lift that left shoulder up more towards the ceiling. Press down through the outer blade of the left foot, reaching through the whole of the left side, left arm. Options here, if you really love that core stuff, you can take that bottom hand away and just pretend you're serving a tray of the most delicious cookies to all of your friends. And let's come on back up. Good. Take the hands to the waist and just heel toe that back foot all the way to step forward. Now would be a terrific time to take a little sip of water. Good. I'm going to follow that advice. And then we're going to find that whole sequence on the other side. I'm going to go to this side of my mat just so I can keep facing you. So coming back to our Tadasana or Tadasana, feeling the feet at comfortable distance apart, a little bend in the knees, pressing down through the feet, lifting up. So just notice it's rebound so we get some space through the chest. Palms face forward. Good. Let's take a big breath in. Sweep the arms overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Halfway lift on the inhale. Good. Exhale, forward again. Inhale, rise back up, spread the arms. Maybe we find that Kali Mudra on the exhale, drawing the hands down. Good, so we'll do 2 more times like that. Big breath in, sweep up. Exhale to fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Exhale, fold again. All the way back up, big breath in. And again, maybe those fingers interlace, Kali Mudra, exhaling down. Inhale, inviting in all the good energy. Exhale, fold. Breath in, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Big breath in, reach overhead, inviting in all that good energy. And maybe as you take Kali Mudra, letting go of something that no longer serves. Pause in your Kali Mudra here, or your Anjali Mudra. Shoulders roll down and back. Awesome. Okay, so here we are. We're going to make our way into that warrior one on the left side. So take your time, shift the weight into that left foot, peel the right heel away, step on back. Warrior one, back foot on an angle. Maybe we reach the arms overhead as we straighten the leg on our breath in. Keep the arms reaching as we exhale. Maybe we just need one move to get us there. Maybe we want to wiggle that left foot a little bit more towards the left. Eventually, we're going to settle in to find that strength and stability of our warrior one. So we imagine this triangular base between the ankles and the pelvis. So if you were to draw a shape, it would be an isosceles triangle. Oh, who remembers all that math geometry stuff? Woo. All right, we're gonna make this into a twist. So press through the outer blade of the right foot, take a big breath in, lift the arms up, exhale, swoop the left hand back, right arm forward. Really getting that sense of the rib cage spinning along the axis of the spine. Let the shoulders drop down. Look wherever you need to look to help you with your balance. Awesome. More full breath in here. And then as we exhale, we'll swoop that left arm forward and inhale to reach up, pivot through the feet, warrior two. Maybe a little scooching of the feet and then pulsing of the legs. And finding that just right distance, lengthwise and widthwise for the legs. And then as you settle down into your warrior two legs, you feel like you've got that just right positioning. So you feel really stable. There's no pain, no discomfort. And then again, check yourself for that tendency to go forward and see if you can imagine somebody pulling that back hand back so you're a little more upright. And then we'll turn this into a reverse warrior. So left palm flips up, big breath in, exhale, reverse. And those variations are there. Half bind, maybe dropping the hand behind the head, between the shoulder blades, maybe keeping it reaching up, but making sure that the tendency is also that we lift up a bit. We want to keep sinking in to that left knee. So we're creating so much space through the left side of the body. Awesome, you guys. All right, let's come on up on an exhale. Reach the arms out. Big breath in, side angle. Exhale again. Left forearm, right forearm swoops. So here we are, pointing those fingers where the wall and ceiling meet. Pulling the right shoulder blade back. So that sense of spinning the rib cage along the axis of the spine, pressing into the outer blade of the right foot as we simultaneously reach the fingers towards that point where the ceiling and wall meet. If you like that core stuff, we're serving tea on this side too. What's your favorite tea time snack? Have you ever had a watercress sandwich? I can't say I have, but apparently that's a traditional tea thing. All right, let's take a big breath in. Come on up. Let's go ahead and wiggle that back foot towards the front. There we go. Give it a shake. Have a little sip, whatever feels good for you. All right, we're gonna make our way into pigeon pose eventually. I know some of you love the pigeon pose, some of you hate the pigeon pose. So I'll guide us in a way that you can find that variation that feels best for your body today. We're gonna do one sun salutation to get there. So from downward dog, that's where we choose our own adventure. So let's start off with the feet comfortable distance apart. Finding that sense of grounding through the feet. Little knee bend, pressing in, lengthening up. Roll the shoulders up, down, and back. Maybe the palms face forward. Let's take a big breath in, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, we fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Exhale, hands down. Step the feet back. Find your high plank. So here we have some choices to kind of spice things up or keep things not spicy. So if you'd like to spice things up, let's drop the heels to the right side of the mat. So this is our side plank. You can come down to forearms if that wrist is bothering you. Left hand can stay where it is, or you can reach it up. You can also skip this entirely and just let yourself rest in crocodile pose. And then if you want to spice up the other side, left hand comes down. Return your way to that plank position, and then we tip the heels to the left. Maybe the right hand stays down, maybe it reaches up. You want to keep the bottom hip lifting. So if you think of your body almost like an arcing of a rainbow, it can be helpful. And then exhale, come back to your high plank. Take a big breath in. And on the exhale, lower all the way down to the belly. Point back through the toes. Inhale up to your cobra pose. Hold your cobra. 3 breaths. So we did a lot of chest opening today. Press into the tops of the feet, so activating through the legs. Feel the upper back muscles lifting the chest away more than pressing the hands to give you that sense of super contortion. We want to really rely on the muscular support of the back and all the muscles along the spine. Exhale, lower it down. Tuck the toes under. Press the hands, elbows in, chest lifts on a breath in. Exhale, downward dog on a breath out. All right, so here's where we're going to make our way into our pigeon pose. So for those of you that are doing that traditional pigeon pose, you can either come at it from downward dog, maybe a 3-legged dog lifting the right leg up, maybe from table, right knee goes towards the right wrist, dropping down, supporting underneath the hip. For those of you that are opting to do a different variation, you can come to seated. And maybe you want to take the right ankle and place it on top of the left knee. Maybe that feels like too much and you're going to do more of like a Janu Shirshasana sort of variation where the sole of the foot's on the inseam. And from here, you can lean back and maybe bend the knee or come all the way down onto your back. For those of you that are in that traditional pigeon pose, variations here. So you can stay upright. So that upright position, Bernie Clark is like the yin guy for Canada, calls his proud pigeon. So we want to pull the shoulders back, arc the chest forward. So it's an upper back bend, a little bit more muscular engagement, or you can just let yourself float and fold forward, offering whatever support underneath the head would feel amazing. Make sure that the knee, the right knee, feels happy in the position you've chosen. If you've even got a little hint of a twinge of pain, I really can't encourage you enough to heed your body's message and find a different way to position yourself. Blocks under the hips are a great thing. So let's take a few more breaths here. And if you like, you can invite in the crow breath, so cocky breath is what it's known as. And we take a big breath in through the nose and exhale through the beak of the mouth, so pursed lips. This is a really great breath to incorporate anytime you might be feeling some big feelings and you need to find your way back into getting more grounded. And big feelings don't necessarily have to be bad, just to be clear on that. Sometimes like giddiness and excitement take over and you just find yourself dancing around and being silly. I'm surely not the only one that does that. And finding these crow breaths or beak breaths can just kind of help you settle the heck down. All right, so let's take our time to exit the posture. For those of you that were in that traditional pigeon, maybe making your way back into a tabletop or down dog, perhaps doing a little donkey kick or two behind you. If you were seated or laying down, uncross the legs. It might feel nice to take the feet as wide as your mat and just sort of swish the knees side to side like a windshield wiper. Yes. And then we'll make our way into the other side. So if you're in that downward dog shape, maybe lifting the left leg up this time and taking the left knee to the left wrist. walking that right leg back, maybe finding that supportive block underneath the left hip. And if you're seated or laying down, all those variations from the other side carry over here. So find a way to make this work so it feels okay for your hip and so it feels okay for your knee. And so this is the point where we let go of trying to force our bodies into a shape that just doesn't work for our bodies. So you can either stay in your proud pigeon if you're forward, or fold your way forward. What would feel good for you? And then if you were to follow your own intuition, what could you do to modify this posture ever so slightly to make it fit your body better? So our target area is the outer left hip. This doesn't mean that that's the only place that you're going to feel some sensation, but that's our target sensation. So if other sensations are arising, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad, but do pay attention. Pain is always a bad one that we want to pay attention to and see if we can do something differently to make it go away. All right. So just like we did on the other side, perhaps you'd like to take a few rounds of that crow breath. So breathing in deeply through the nose, exhaling through pursed lips. So this action of extending the exhale and also engaging through the facial muscles by pursing the lips. Combined, they send this lovely signal to your vagus nerve. So your vagus nerve is this wandering nerve that travels all the way down through your neck and into your internal organs. So it's that fight or flight, freeze or fawn response that happens when you're feeling agitated or anxious or surprised, or maybe even super excited. And we want to tell the vagus nerve, we don't need to be activated right now. We can settle down. We're shifting into that rest and digest mode. So that is the time during the yoga practice where maybe you get a little gurgle in the tummy as you realize maybe you didn't eat enough for breakfast, or maybe your body's just doing its thing digesting your breakfast. But anytime you get those little tummy gurgles unexpectedly, that is an awesome signal that you're relaxed. All right, let's take our time finding our way out of whichever variation of pigeon we're in. So for those of you that did that upright, maybe, donkey kick or two from table or downward dog. And once you've found all of those movements, then you're going to come down on your back to join us all on your back. Now we will do a little supine twist here, so you might like to have a block along for the ride, and you might like to place it on the left side of your mat. And any old way that you want to get down to the floor works for you. Do it. All right. Let's walk the heels in towards the buttocks so that they are not touching but close. Adjust your ponytails, etc., so that you don't feel like you're cranking your neck at all. And you might like to just press the backs of the arms into the floor. And that's really helpful for getting my shoulders to level out as I let the spine come down. All right, so we're going to take our Ardha Apanasana. So we're going to draw the right knee towards the chest. You can hold on to either side of the leg, behind the knee, or reach around the shin if that's available. And then depending on how your lower back is feeling, you might like to keep that left knee bent, or you might like to stretch the left leg out long. And let the heel of the left leg just settle down into the floor. Notice if the shoulders are lifted, can you just relax them and kind of let them settle down towards the earth? Feel the weight of your head releasing towards the floor. Perhaps noticing a softening through the muscles of the face. So maybe softening around the edges of the eyes, the forehead, the temples, the jawline. Now, if you're happy to stay right here, if this just feels like a really comforting place to be, stay in this Ardha Apanasana. If you would like to take one final twist, shift that left hand over to the outer edge of the right knee. Right hand could come on the floor, and then we draw the right knee across the body all the way up onto the left hip, and then maybe the block is going to catch the underside of the knee slash calf. Maybe it feels okay for you to just sort of have the leg kind of hanging in space, and then that sense of gravity adds to a nice outer hip stretch. You can also bring the left hand on top of the right knee, lefts and right. Another variation, if you just, again, you feel like you need a little bit more, is to straighten that right leg. Whew. So it gets into not only the outer hip, but also down through the IT band. So if you do a lot of running or walking or potentially biking, this might be a nice stretch for you. Other things you can do, you can swirl that right ankle around, so giving the ankles a nice little release. Pay attention to that right shoulder. Maybe the hand is closer to the body because it feels more comfortable there. Maybe the palm's down or palm is up. Maybe that right arm is more out, like a perpendicular to the body, like capital T. Maybe you even want to reach that right arm overhead or take a cactus arm. All these variations are available to you. And we'll just pause here for another 3 breaths. And then we'll take our time on that exhaling breath to rebend the knee if we extended it. Come on over onto the back, and let's draw the left knee in to join the right. Maybe a little rock side to side. And then we can start at the beginning, but this time holding onto the left leg, bringing the sole of the right foot to the floor, and just settling in here for a breath or two. Notice if you need to shuffle through the hips or the shoulders to make things feel comfortable. And checking in with the lower back. Maybe we're going to keep that right foot on the floor. Maybe we're going to extend the leg out long. And we'll hold this Ardha Apanasana for another few breaths. And if you feel like you benefited from having a block on the right side, then we'll bring the block over to the right side so that we can have that same support available for the left side. And if you opted out of taking the twist on the other side, it's up to you. Choose your own adventure. Would you like to take the twist on this side, or with just hanging out in that half wind relieving pose, Ardha Apanasana, just a great place for you to be. So when it feels right for you, if it feels right for you, left hand's going to come down, right hand comes to the outer edge of the left knee, and we take our time drawing the knee across, coming onto the right hip. And again, maybe we find that supportive block underneath the knee. Maybe the knee stays bent. Maybe we extend the leg. Where is that left arm going to go to feel really supportive and comfortable? Is it going to be closer to the body, palm down, away from the body, overhead, a cactus arm? What feels good on this side? And just know that what felt great on the other side might just be a different operation on this side. Wherever you are, just take some time, find a few breaths. So we're breathing into that left side of the body, into the outer left hip, through the left side body, left side of the torso, side waist and ribs. Notice if the left shoulder is really lifted away from the floor. What can you do to soften it down towards the floor? So with each exhaling breath, we're softening again through the musculature of the face, around the eyes, the forehead, the temples, the cheeks, the jaw, the mouth, down through the neck and shoulders, into the arms, down through the chest, the upper back, all along the rib cage, through the entirety of the torso, down to the hips, into the buttocks, backs of the legs, the fronts of the legs, even into the feet. And if you found those ankle swirls to be a nice sensation on the other side, don't forget those are something you can add into. We'll take another 3 breaths here. Allowing each exhaling breath be that invitation to let go of doing and sink into being. And we'll use our exhaling breath again when it feels just right to roll back over onto our back. Draw the right knee in. Give yourself a little hug. You might like to do a little rock side to side, a little lower back massage. Hands to the knees is always nice, making those sacral clock motions, clockwise, counterclockwise. And then once everything feels like it's worked out for you, then we can bring the feet down to the floor and set yourself up for your perfect body position for final rest. So you might like to keep the feet on the floor, make the feet as wide as the mat, lean the knees towards one another. Very, very nice for the lower back. You might like to lay on your side today. You might even want to make your way all the way up to seated if that feels better. If you happen to be near a wall, you can throw your legs up the wall, or you can starfish your way out. You've got all these choices of how to make Shavasana feel good for you. And if you like to cover your eyes, you can put that eye pillow over, or you can just even stare at the ceiling. You don't even have to close your eyes if you don't want to. And so we'll do any little fine tuning that you might feel of benefit for your body at this time. As we settle into that Shavasana position, feeling with every exhaling breath a little letting go, a little pouring out of any residual tension, tightness, or holding. Bring your awareness to the musculature of the face one more time, softening through the edges of the eyes, the entirety of the eyes, maybe even sensing the eyeballs themselves relaxing in the eye sockets. And feeling the eyebrows relax and that space between the eyebrows and all along the forehead relaxing. Even softening that sensation of the scalp around the ears, along the jawline, the mouth, lips, the tongue. Continuing that awareness down through the neck, softening with each exhale, the throat, the front and back and sides of the neck, the collarbones, the shoulders, the upper and lower arms, the fingers, the hands. Each exhale, that softening down through the torso. So noticing that as you soften the muscles around the chest and the ribs, perhaps the breath is a little fuller and deeper. Maybe it's slower and shallower. Softening around the navel, lower abdomen, lower back, and softening through the pelvic floor, through the buttocks, through the joints of the hips, through the outer hips, tops of the thighs and backs of the thighs. Perhaps even getting that sense of softening through the backs of the knees, through the calves, through the shins, through the ankles, arches of the feet, and even into the toes. Just allowing yourself to settle into this position of rest, perhaps keeping your attention on rest by shifting your awareness to following the breath as it comes in and out. You might even like to imagine the breath as though they're waves, like the ocean. Breath waving in, traveling from the toes to the crown, a breath waving out from the crown and out through the toes. You can envision this almost like a waterfall or a stream of water, or maybe a stream of light. Breathing in and out. Just letting the sensation of the breath wash over you. Inviting in that sense of clarity. Letting go of what no longer serves. Clarity to identify what it is you can let go of. Take another 3 breaths, allowing the breath to just wash over you like a wave, like a waterfall. And invite your breath to get fuller and deeper, more expansive and wide. And perhaps invite in movement if that feels like what your body needs, or just allow yourself to be still if that feels like that's what your body needs. Regardless of whether you're moving or laying still, just feel your attention coming back to a more alert state. When it feels right for you, you can make your way to your side and pause for a moment there, perhaps resting your head on your arm, curling the knees towards the chest, and just pausing here for a few breaths, gifting ourselves this opportunity to move slowly and leisurely. And then when it feels like a good time for you to make your way upright, find that comfortable seat, however that might look for you. So you might like to keep your blanket wrapped around you if you have a blanket, or maybe sitting on a cushion or your block would feel great. Good. All right, let's bring our palms together. So this is our Anjali Mudra, the universal prayer position. Thumbs chest center, shoulders relaxed. And if you would like to join me in that collective chanting of Om, this, what I love, my teacher Jennifer Rice calls it a circle of hearts. So even though we're not together, we are together. So let's join in with the chanting of Om if you'd like. Take a big breath in and a long breath out. Full breath in. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Okay, stop recording.